Another Biden gaffe or a case of wishful thinking. President Biden is getting called out after mistakenly promoting Vice President Kamala Harris to commander-in-chief while praising her work at the border. Take a listen.
Well, President Harris led this effort to make things better in the countries from which they are leaving. And thanks to her leadership, she's been able to generate more than $3.2 billion from the private sector to create jobs and opportunities in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala.
President Joe Concha joins us now. Joe, according to the mainstream media, though, we all make gaffes repeatedly, and this is just completely normal, right?
Don't call me President, Todd. I ran my senior year at Wayne Valley in New Jersey. Finished as second to a guy named Tom Begley.
Tom?
Yes.
Where are you, Tom?
Story for another time. Watching in Nashville somewhere, actually. This is why people are worried about Joe Biden running for a second term, somehow winning a second term. He would be there when he's 86 years old in the Oval Office. And the thing is, we all misspeak, right, when you're in the public eye. The problem is, this has happened multiple times in calling Kamala Harris the president again. But that's the small stuff. $1.7 trillion in that omnibus package that the president backs so much. Yet, and you were talking about the border before, very little for border security and for border agents, right? They're adding something like 300. That covers 2,000 miles.
Nothing, yeah.
Right, exactly. So we could talk about Biden's verbal gas, but that's been going on for as long as the Jets haven't won a Super Bowl, more than 50 years. This is part of the package. It's the policies which Joe Biden got to concentrate on.
Well, not only that, but I think people are like, oh, it's just him. That's just what he does. Like you said, he's always done it.
Yeah.
But this is not funny anymore. This is serious when you talk about the border and he says that, Kamala Harris is headed it up. It's not funny. It's a slap in the face to America.
Completely. And in my book, I talk about how Joe Biden, from day one, when he stepped into politics, has failed upwards. The thing is, though, when you fail upwards, usually there's a ceiling to that. He's failed upwards all the way to the Oval Office. And now, again, $1.7 trillion, when we're just starting to see inflation go down a little bit, this is only going to exacerbate that again. So, again, look at the decisions of Joe Biden, not so much the rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
Meantime, failed presidential candidate Hillary Rodham Clinton has agreed to join Columbia University as a professor and presidential fellow. Columbia's president gushing over HRC joining the university, saying, quote, given her extraordinary talents and capacities, together with her singular life experiences, Hillary Clinton is unique and, most importantly, exceptional in what she can bring to the university's mission. So, Joe, what will students learn in a class taught by Miss Clinton?
I wonder what's on day one of the syllabus, right? Election denying, because she's the biggest election denier, right? We remember after 2016, she called President Trump illegitimate. Perhaps she could teach a course in accepting responsibility, because you remember after that election, she blamed everybody, including somehow Matt Lauer, for losing that election. Remember that guy? Maybe she could do a class on how to conduct a public therapy tour for 6 years, like she has been on during this time. This is what $80,000 a year gets you, by the way, for an Ivy League education. You either get Professor Clinton at Columbia, or if you go to Harvard, you get Professor Brian Stelter teaching you about media ethics, or Professor Bill de Blasio, who is teaching you how to run a city effectively. I mean, these are the people that we're hiring. And again, $80,000 a year. Think about when your kids go to school. That's something like $300,000 just to send one kid. And these are the people teaching our children.
Gosh, I don't know. All three of those seem pretty bad, but I think de Blasio, he's up there at the top of those
we can
three.
all agree on that.
Yeah. We do want your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
The postponed Buffalo Bills-Cincinnati Bengals game, it will not be resumed and has been canceled. Your thoughts, Joe?
Well, look, the game had to be canceled. You couldn't put those teams back out on that field in Cincinnati. Most players wouldn't be able to get over the scars of seeing a player being administered CPR after suffering cardiac arrest. This is something that we've never seen in an NFL game before. And then logistically, you can't play this game because the NFL regular season ends on Sunday. The playoffs start 6 days later. This ain't the NBA or the NHL where you can just squeeze it in somewhere. So I like the solution here, Ashley and Todd, and that is that if it comes down to the AFC Championship, that's the game to go to the Super Bowl, and Kansas City is one of the teams in that playoff, or Cincinnati and the Bills are the team in that particular game, play it at a neutral field. Right. This way, no one gets an advantage. I think the NFL did the only thing they could do here.
There was no other option.
There wasn't. And and as you guys have talked about, Damar Hamlin is making considerable improvement, and that's the most important thing.
100%.
Absolutely.
Indeed,
Joe
Ashley.
Concha, have a great weekend. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.